Jake Morrison had been awake for 72 hours straight, which was honestly pretty standard for him at this point. What was not standard was standing in a massive crystalline auditorium surrounded by 300 alien species who all looked like they were attending their own funeral. He squinted at the holographic form in his hand. Section 4, subsection 12, paragraph. Something. The words kept swimming around. Now he was here, the Galactic Combat Academy, which sounded nothing like a gym now that he thought about it. Attention! The voice rattled through the hall like gravel in a blender. Jake looked up to see Commander Vexthal standing on the central platform. The guy, if you could call him that, had 4 arms, each one holding a different weapon that probably had names like Soul Render or the Widowmaker. His exoskeleton was jet black and covered in scars that looked suspiciously like they came from the inside out. His eyes, all 6 of them, swept across the crowd with the kind of disdain usually reserved for wet socks. "Welcome to your first and possibly last day at the Galactic Combat Academy," Vexthal announced. His translator made everything sound vaguely threatening, even the articles. "I am Commander Vexthal, and I will be your instructor in the ancient and deadly art of mind combat." Jake raised his hand. Vexthal's eyes swiveled toward him with audible clicking sounds. "Yes, human." "So, just to clarify, this isn't the gym, right?" A collective gasp rippled through the auditorium. Apparently asking questions was not the done thing here. "The gymnasium is on deck 47, Vexthal said slowly, as if speaking to a particularly dense child. "This is the Neural Warfare Division. You are legally contracted to attend. Did you not read the enrollment agreement?" Jake tried to remember. There had been a lot of documents. He'd been awake for about 40 hours at that point. He might have signed something that wasn't a gym membership. Define legally contracted. Binding under galactic law. Withdrawal results in permanent exile from all council stations and planets. Ah. Jake looked around for an exit. Every door had armed guards. Cool. Cool. Next to him, something that looked like a sentient gelatin mold quivered excitedly. "Is this not glorious, human Jake?" It burbled. The translator identified it as GLIP, species designation molluscoid aggregate. "We shall learn the ways of honor and mental fortitude together." "Yeah," Jake said. "Glorious. That's the word I was thinking." On his other side, a creature that was basically a nightmare made of muscles and extra joints cracked its 6 knuckles in sequence. "Humans," it growled. "Weak. Soft-minded." "That's Thorn," Glip whispered, somehow managing to sound reverent despite being a blob. "He is from the Kragthor Dominion. Very prestigious warrior culture." "Neat," Jake said, wondering if anyone would notice if he just quietly left. Vexthal slammed one of his weapons against the floor, creating a sound like a gong made of nightmares. Silence. "You are here because your governments, corporations, or in the humans' case, clerical error, have deemed you worthy of learning psychic combat. 63% of you will wash out in the first week. 24% will suffer permanent psychological damage. 13% will die." "That's 100%, Jake pointed out. "Yes?" Vexthal said with something that might have been a smile if it wasn't so horrifying. "I rounded up for optimism." Commander Vexthal began pacing, which was impressive considering he had 4 arms and only 2 legs that anyone could see. Maybe he had more under that armor. Jake decided he didn't want to know. "Mind combat," Vexthal continued, "is the art of weaponizing consciousness itself. Your thoughts become weapons. Your fears become shields. Your very identity becomes the battlefield." He gestured to a holographic display that materialized in the center of the room. "These are the previous class." The hologram showed a group of aliens in what looked like meditation pods. Then it showed the same aliens being wheeled out on stretchers, their eyes vacant and staring at nothing in particular. "Student Crixtal," Vexthal said, pointing to a lizard-like creature in the hologram. "Attempted level 4 training. His consciousness is now scattered across 17 dimensions. We get birthday cards from 3 of them." The room went very quiet. "Student Melkora," he continued, indicating a floating jellyfish thing. Survived the training, but now believes she is a color that doesn't exist. She has tried to taste sound for 6 months. Jake wondered if it was too late to fake his own death. He'd seen a documentary once about a guy who did that. Seemed complicated though, and he was really tired. The training method is simple, Bexthal explained, bringing up another hologram showing what looked like very uncomfortable chairs surrounded by way too much medical equipment. You will be connected to the neural interface system. Your consciousness will be projected into a shared psychic arena. There, you will face constructs designed to test your mental fortitude, your will to survive, and your ability to maintain coherent thought under assault. Glip was vibrating with what Jake assumed was excitement but might have been terror. Hard to tell with a blob. The arena, Vexthal said, and the hologram shifted to show a nightmare landscape of impossible geometry and colors that hurt to look at, is constructed from pure thought. What you perceive there is filtered through your own consciousness. For most species, it appears as a hellscape of existential horror. What's it look like for humans? Jake asked, mainly because his brain was too sleep-deprived to have an internal filter anymore. Vexthal's expression was unreadable behind his helmet. No human has ever survived past level 3 to tell us. Your species lacks the mental discipline required for advanced psychic combat. Your thoughts are chaotic, unfocused, weak. Thorn made a sound that was probably laughter in his language. It sounded like rocks being crushed. Your strongest human psychic, Bexthal continued, lasted 4.3 minutes at level 3 before his mind collapsed. He now runs a very successful pottery business on Earth as he can no longer remember any words beyond clay, kiln, and moist. Moist is a good word, Jake said to no one in particular. Vexthal ignored him. You will begin at level 1, a basic psychic assault designed to test your baseline resistance. Most species find it uncomfortable. Some find it agonizing. All find it challenging. He swept his gaze across the room. Questions? Jake raised his hand again. Not you, human. Jake kept his hand up anyway. Do you guys validate parking? The silence that followed was the kind that had weight. Physical, oppressive weight. No, Vexthal said finally. We do not validate parking. Dismissed. Report to Neural Bay 7 in 30 minutes. Bring your insurance information. Next of kin contacts are mandatory. As everyone filed out, Glip oozed over to Jake. You are very brave, human Jake, to joke in the face of such danger. I wasn't joking about the parking thing, Jake said. I'm pretty sure I'm racking up like 50 credits an hour. Thorn shouldered past them, all 6 arms flexing. The human will break first, he announced to everyone and no one. Weak species, soft minds. I will show true mental strength. Cool, Jake said, already looking for a place to nap for 29 minutes. Neural Bay 7 looked exactly like Jake expected a place called Neural Bay 7 to look, which is to say it was terrifying. Rows of chairs that were definitely not designed for human anatomy, surrounded by machines that beeped ominously, all under lighting that suggested the designer had something against hope. Take your positions, Vexthal commanded from the control platform above. He was joined by 3 other instructors who looked like they collectively had about 18 PhDs in making people uncomfortable. Jake found a chair and sat down. The neural interface crown descended from above, bristling with more sensors than seemed strictly necessary. Next to him, Glip was already hooked up, quivering in what was definitely fear now. This is glorious, Glip whispered, not sounding like he believed it. Thorn, 3 seats down, looked calm, smug even. His 6 arms were crossed in a way that suggested he'd practiced that pose in a mirror. Initializing neural link, one of the technicians announced. Beginning consciousness transfer in 3, 2, 1. Jake felt a weird pulling sensation, like someone had grabbed his brain and yanked it sideways through reality. Then everything went white. When his vision cleared, he was standing in the psychic arena. At least he assumed this was the arena. It looked less like a hellscape of existential horror and more like that DVD screensaver his dad used to have. Geometric shapes floated past in an endless void. Occasionally one bounced off an invisible wall. It was actually kind of soothing. He looked around. The other students were there too, their consciousness manifesting as ghostly versions of their physical forms. They all looked appropriately terrified. Glip had somehow manifested a shield made of what looked like crystallized determination, or maybe jello. Hard to tell. "I am ready," he announced, his voice echoing weirdly in the psychic space. Thorn had gone full warrior mode, 6 thought blades extending from his 6 hands. "Come," he roared at nothing in particular. "I fear nothing." Jake's consciousness just stood there in the digital equivalent of sweatpants, wondering if he was supposed to be doing something. "Beginning level 1 assault," Bexthal's voice boomed from everywhere and nowhere. "Brace yourselves." The arena shifted. The peaceful screensaver vibe vanished, replaced by a wave of pressure that Jake could feel in his teeth. Except he didn't have teeth here, which made the sensation even weirder. Around him, students started screaming. Their psychic forms flickered and warped as the assault hit them. Glip's shield cracked. Thorn's blades shattered. Some students blinked out entirely, ejected from the exercise. Jake felt something, like someone was trying to push against his thoughts, but they kept slipping off because his brain was too tired to maintain a coherent surface to push against. It was like trying to punch fog. He yawned. The assault intensified. More students vanished. Glip was on his metaphorical knees, his form flickering. Thorn was roaring defiance, but his 6 arms were shaking. Jake sat down. Or his consciousness did. Hard to tell the difference here. The geometric shapes were still kind of nice to look at. One of them was purple. He liked purple. His eyes closed. Or the psychic equivalent of eyes. The pulling sensation of the assault felt kind of like that feeling when you're falling asleep and your body does that weird jerk thing. Except gentle and continuous. Actually, it was kind of comfortable. Jake's consciousness curled up on the nothing that passed for ground here and went to sleep. In the control room, alarms started blaring. "What's happening?" Vextal demanded, all 4 hands flying across different control panels. "It's the human," one technician said, staring at a display like it had just insulted his mother. "His neural patterns are changing." "Changing how?" Vextal leaned over the panel. Jake's brainwave display was doing things that brainwaves were definitely not supposed to do. They were slowing down, smoothing out, entering a pattern that the computer was labeling as deep sleep cycle. "That's impossible," Vextal said. "No one falls asleep during level 1 assault. The psychic pressure alone should keep him in a state of hyper-awareness." In the arena, Jake's psychic form had achieved something remarkable. It was snoring. The sound echoed through the shared consciousness space like a chainsaw made of apathy. "Is he dying?" another technician asked. "Check his vitals." "Vitals are normal?" "Heart rate 62 beats per minute. Blood pressure actually improving. REM sleep indicators positive." Vextal's eyes all narrowed simultaneously. "He's actually asleep, in the middle of a psychic assault." "How?" In the arena, the assault was still going strong. Waves of mental pressure that would break most sentient beings washed over Jake's sleeping form and just kind of dissipated, like water hitting a surface it couldn't quite grip. Glip managed to look over from where he was barely maintaining his shield. "Human Jake, what is your secret technique?" Jake's response was another snore. "Pull him out," Vextal ordered, before his mind completely shuts down. The technician tried. The neural link wouldn't disengage. "Sir, the system says he's still fully engaged with the exercise. Technically, he's still participating." "He's asleep." "Yes, sir, but his consciousness is still in the arena, and according to these readings, the assault isn't affecting him at all. It's like he's not even there." Vextal increased the assault intensity. Students who were already struggling started blinking out faster. Glip's shield shattered completely, and he was ejected from the exercise, his consciousness snapping back to his body with an audible squelch. Thorn lasted another 30 seconds before his warrior pride couldn't take any more and he collapsed. His consciousness was pulled out automatically, the safety protocols kicking in before permanent damage occurred. Jake kept sleeping. "This is impossible," Vextal muttered. "Increase to level 2 intensity." "Sir, that's not recommended for first-day students. Do it! The assault doubled in strength. In the physical world, Jake's body shifted slightly in the chair, getting more comfortable. In the psychic arena, his sleeping form somehow achieved an even deeper state of rest. His REM cycle is creating some kind of barrier, one of the technicians said, reading displays that were making less sense by the second. The mental attacks are just sliding off. It's like his unconscious mind has completely disengaged from the shared space, while his conscious presence remains as a placeholder. That's not how minds work, Vexthal said. Apparently human minds work differently, sir. In the arena, one of the geometric shapes bounced past Jake's head. In his dream, he was thinking about pizza, pepperoni specifically, maybe some mushrooms. His cat, Mr. Whiskers, was there too. Good cat, deserves some pizza. The assault intensified again. Level 3 now, far beyond what first-day students should experience. The kind of mental pressure that had broken that pottery guy. Jake dreamed about whether pineapple actually belonged on pizza. He was on the fence about it. This doesn't make sense, Vexthal said for the 15th time. He'd been saying it a lot in the last 10 minutes. The teaching staff had gathered around the control station, all staring at Jake's readings like they were written in a language that didn't exist yet. Which, in a way, they were. Run a full diagnostic on the neural interface, Vexthal ordered. Maybe it's malfunctioning. They ran the diagnostic. The interface was working perfectly. Jake was genuinely, deeply, peacefully asleep in the middle of a level 3 psychic assault that would turn most beings into drooling vegetables. Is this a new human technique? One instructor asked. She was a crystalline being whose name was unpronounceable but whose confusion was universal. Some kind of advanced meditation? If it is, another instructor said, it's the most effective defense we've ever seen. Look at these readings. The assault isn't just being blocked, it's being completely ignored. His mind has created a perfect null state. By sleeping, Vexthal said flatly. By sleeping, the instructor confirmed. In the physical world, Glip had recovered enough to blob over to Jake's chair. What technique is this? He asked the unconscious human. What ancient human discipline have you mastered? Jake mumbled something that sounded like pizza cat. Thorne, also recovered but looking significantly less smug, stared at Jake with what might have been respect or might have been the Cragthor equivalent of an existential crisis. The human does not fight, he said slowly. He does not defend, he simply is not there. Exactly, one of the technicians said. That's exactly what's happening. His consciousness is present enough to maintain the neural link, but absent enough that there's nothing for the assault to attack. It's brilliant. It's unconsciousness, Vexthal corrected. Yes, but strategically applied unconsciousness. Vexthal made a decision that he would regret for the rest of his career. Activate the final exam protocol. Every instructor turned to stare at him. Sir, that's designed for students who've completed the entire program. It's meant to test masters. Do it, Vexthal said. I want to see where this human's limit is. They activated the final exam protocol, an assault designed to break through the mental defenses of trained psychic warriors, a wave of pure psychic force that could unravel consciousness itself. In the physical world, Jake's body shifted again. His head lolled to one side. He was entering deep REM sleep, the stage where dreams were most vivid. In his dream, Mr. Whiskers had stolen a slice of pizza and was running away with it. Jake was chasing the cat through his old apartment. This was great. Best dream in weeks. The final exam assault hit his sleeping consciousness like a tsunami hitting a soap bubble. The bubble didn't pop, the tsunami just went around it, through it, past it, but never touched it. Jake's REM cycle had created something unprecedented. A state of consciousness so disconnected from active thought that psychic attacks had nothing to grip. His sleeping mind was everywhere and nowhere, present and absent, a quantum state of not giving a damn that was apparently the perfect defense. 20 minutes later, his body's internal alarm clock went off. Jake woke up naturally, the way he always did after a good nap. His consciousness snapped back to full awareness in the psychic arena. He blinked, looking around at the empty space. Did I miss something? In the control room, every instructor was staring at him through the viewing screen. "Human," Vexthal said, his voice very quiet and very dangerous. "What did you just do?" Jake sat in Commander Vexthal's office, which was decorated in early military intimidation with hints of, "I've seen things you wouldn't believe." The commander's forearms were folded in a way that suggested Jake was about to experience a very thorough conversation. "Explain," Vexthal said. "Just that, just explain." As if Jake had any idea what he was supposed to explain. "I fell asleep?" Jake offered. "You did more than fall asleep. You withstood a level 3 assault and a final exam protocol that should have shattered your mind into component atoms. I had a nice dream about my cat." Vexthal's eye twitched. "All 6 of them. What is your secret technique, human? What mental discipline allows you to achieve such a perfect defensive state?" "Insomnia." Silence. "I haven't slept in 3 days," Jake continued, figuring honesty was the best policy at this point. "Before that, it was 2 days. Before that, 5 hours over a 4-day period. I'm really, really tired all the time, like medically concerning amounts of tired." "You're telling me," Vexthal said slowly, "that you survived the deadliest psychic assault in the known galaxy because you have a sleep disorder?" "Pretty much, yeah." More silence. This one lasted long enough that Jake wondered if he was supposed to leave. "Explain this sleep disorder," Vexthal finally said. "Well, humans need like 8 hours of sleep a night, but modern life kind of makes that impossible, so most of us just run on caffeine and spite. I'm at the extreme end. Chronic insomnia. My brain basically saves up all the sleep I'm missing and then crashes hard when it gets the chance." One of the other instructors, who'd been silent until now, leaned forward. "And this crash state creates a neural pattern that's immune to psychic assault?" "I mean, I wouldn't say immune, more like absent. When I'm asleep, I'm really asleep. My brain basically hangs up a do not disturb sign and ignores everything." "Everything," Vexthal repeated, "including existential threats to your consciousness." "Apparently." The crystalline instructor brought up a display. "We've analyzed your neural patterns during the exercise. Human brains already compartmentalize aggressively compared to other species. Memory, consciousness, subconscious, all separated into distinct regions. But during deep sleep, these compartments become essentially isolated from external input." "Right," Jake said, not really following, but nodding anyway. "You became psychically invisible," she continued. "Not protected, not defended, simply not there as far as the assault was concerned. It's actually theoretically elegant." Glip, who'd somehow been allowed into the office, quivered excitedly. "So the ancient human meditation technique is called insomnia. I must learn this." "Please don't," Jake said. "It's terrible. I wouldn't recommend it." "Nevertheless," Vexthal said, and Jake really didn't like how that word sounded. "You have passed level 1 of psychic combat training. This has been logged in your official record." "Cool. Can I drop the class now?" "No." "I figured. Galactic law requires you to complete the program or face permanent exile from all council space. And I can't just fail out. You've already proven you can survive the training. Failure is no longer an option." Jake put his head in his hands. "When's the next class?" "Tomorrow morning, 600 hours station time." "That's 6 a.m. "Yes." "I hate my life." Thorne, who'd also somehow gotten into the office, stepped forward. All 6 of his arms were raised in what Jake assumed was a salute. "I have judged humans poorly," he said. "Your mental fortitude is greater than my people's. I was wrong. You have my respect." "Thanks," Jake said. "I literally did nothing." "Exactly," Thorne said, like that explained everything. "Maybe in warrior culture it did." "Dismissed," Vexthal said. "Morrison, report to medical for a full psychological evaluation. We need to understand this phenomenon if we're going to, against all logic and reason, continue your training." Jake stood up, already thinking about where he could find coffee. "One question." "What?" "If I keep passing levels just by sleeping, does that mean I'll eventually graduate?" Vexthal's expression suggested he'd been asking himself the same question and hated every possible answer. "Theoretically, yes." "Neat." As Jake left the office, Glip blobbed after him. Human Jake. You must teach me this technique. How does one achieve chronic sleep deprivation? Step 1, have anxiety about everything. Step 2, drink too much coffee. Step 3, doom scroll on your phone until 3 a.m. I do not understand any of those words, but I am inspired. Behind them, they could hear Vexthal explaining to the other instructors that yes, apparently they were going to train the first human psychic warrior in galactic history. And no, he wasn't happy about it, and yes, this was definitely going in his resignation letter. Jake found a vending machine that dispensed something that the label claimed was coffee. It was purple and smelled like regret, but it had caffeine, so he drank it anyway. 6 a.m. tomorrow. Another class. Another opportunity to accidentally succeed through the power of being unconscious. He pulled out his datapad and started searching for the nearest coffee shop. If he was going to become the galaxy's greatest psychic warrior purely through exhaustion, he was going to need a lot more caffeine. And maybe some pizza.